Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. Another video looking ahead to a weekend of Premier League football, but most importantly looking at the Arsenal game on Sunday, where we play our Bogey team in Brighton at the Emirates. And it's going to be a tough game and a must-win game after our defeat to Villa last week. And after Brighton, obviously we go to Anfield to play Liverpool, who have a tough game themselves this weekend. Well, I say tough game, they're playing Manchester United at Anfield, which is obviously a massive historical derby game. I mean, if you look at the teams on form and what happened at Anfield last season, you would, with Liverpool beating Manchester United last season 7-0 at Anfield, you'd expect an easy game. But football doesn't always work like that, and I for one will be hoping that Manchester United can get something from that game, and then hopefully we can be going to Anfield top of the table. But I doubt it. If I was a betting man, I wouldn't be putting money on United winning that game personally. But anyway, looking ahead to the Arsenal game, like I said, we're coming up against our Bogey team in Brighton and Hove Albion, who have had a little bit of an indifferent season so far this season. They've managed to finish top of their Europa League group, which is massive for them. Now they'll go straight into the round of 16 in the new year, after they beat Marseille Thursday 1-0, thanks to a late João Pedro goal. But overall in the Premier League this season, it has been a bit indifferent. They had a really good season last year, obviously managed to make the Europa League through their place in the Prem. But this year it's been slightly different. They're sitting currently in 8th, currently in 8th, with 26 points, having won 7 games, drawn 5 and 4 losses. And yeah, they probably would have been expecting to be a little bit higher up by this point, potentially around about where Villa are fighting at the minute, within the top 4, 5 and 6 in the league. I mean, Villa are probably slightly punching above their weight currently, but that's probably around about where people would have expected to see Brighton this season. And yeah, they've dropped points in games you probably wouldn't expect them to, and they went for a stage of 1 point, not winning the game from September until either late October or November, I believe it was. Look, they have had injury problems like everyone else. But I think Brighton's main problem this season has been not finishing teams off. They're a team who play really well in possession and out of possession. They build up really well. They've got really exciting players, but they've just not quite managed to find the killer instinct in some games this season. Obviously, they've had games this season where they have blown teams away. I think they beat Newcastle, was it 4 or 5-1 or 0? So I can't exactly remember. But they do have times when it clicks, and that's something Arsenal have to be wary of and make sure that we're really tight at the back, don't give them too many chances and try to finish them off ourselves. But yeah, let's have a look at Brighton's last 5 games in the Premier League. They drew in their most recent game at home to Burnley 1-1. As I was saying, a game you'd probably expect Brighton to win, and they didn't quite manage to do it, couldn't quite finish them off. Then they, before that, they lost 3-2 to Chelsea in a game that, again, they were quite unlucky, but Chelsea did probably deserve it on the day. They did beat Forest 3-2 before that, but then before that as well, they had a draw with Sheffield United at home. And before that, they had another 2 draws, actually, with Everton and Fulham. So they've had some, too many draws this season, really. Too many times they've not been able to finish teams off. So it's something that for them, I'm sure they are disappointed in their season to an extent, simply because they would have expected slightly better. But there's still plenty of time for them to turn things around. And, they have shown that they can, when they are on it, they can beat teams. But if they're not on it, they can hold bad results as well. Like they lost 6-1 to Aston Villa earlier on in the season. And yeah, that's a crazy result for Brighton. But they will be encouraged because they're coming to the Emirates, a place where they don't tend to walk away empty-handed. They beat us there, obviously, last season. They beat us there the season before. The season before that, I think Arsenal won. But then the season before that, I think Brighton took something from us as well. So they are a really, really dodgy bogey side for Arsenal and for Mikel Arteta. And it's a game that we have to win. So we can't be leaving anything to chance, and we've got to go out there full throttle and beat them. And we have to play a lot better than we did, notably last season against Brighton at the Emirates. Brighton at the Emirates last season beat us 3-0, and they schooled us the whole game. They absolutely battered us, and it was at a time we were still technically going for the league at that time, even though we were behind City and it looked very, very unlikely at that time. But technically we were still in a title race, and the game Arsenal had to win last season, and they come there and they absolutely battered us, like I said. So it's a team that, you know, we need to get something back, and we really owe them one, especially at the Emirates. We have to beat them. And to be honest, we owe them a beating, because last season they absolutely embarrassed us. So massive game for Arsenal, and it's one Arteta has to get the better of De Zerbi. De Zerbi's a great coach. Really good manager. I love how he gets Brighton playing, the way they play out from the back, the way, you know, they attack and they create overloads and stuff. They're just a fantastic team. And they've got a lot of threats in Matoma, Ferguson, Pascal Gross. I think is probably arguably the most underrated player in the league. I think he's a wicked player. Lewis Dunk at the back. I think if he was younger, he'd probably be looking at a move to a top 6 club. And like I said, De Zerbi is a manager I'm sure most teams are looking at. You know, I believe Pep even said that he's probably the next City manager when Pep leaves. And if Arteta was to leave tomorrow, De Zerbi would be the man I would ideally want him to replace him. Really good manager. And yeah, it's going to be a tough game for Arsenal, but it's one the boys have to be up for, and we've got to play well. And I need to see big performances from everyone in that team, especially our front line. And, well, no, not just especially our front line. Like I said, the whole team, because Brighton, they do create chances. They're just not always the best at finishing them. So we have to try and limit them to as little chances as possible and give them as least an opportunity to score goals as we possibly can. And we haven't kept a clean sheet in a few games now, and it's something we really need to be aiming to do. At home, especially, we need to be trying to make sure that one goal is enough for us to take 3 points. And it's even more important with the games we got coming up, notably the one against Liverpool next week. So, looking at the team, what can I see Arteta going with? My predicted 11 for the game would be David Raya in goal. Obviously, he's Arteta's number one. I know Ramsdale played midweek and he played fairly well, made some decent saves, but Raya will be coming back in. Back four would be, on paper, arguably our strongest back four, I imagine. So it'll be Ben White at right back. He's going to have a tough game on his hands up against Matoma. And I do think Ben White needs to step up. I think he's been slacking a little bit in recent weeks. And it's a game for him that he's going to really need to perform well to get, you know, maximum confidence, because it's not going to get any easier next week against Luis Diaz or Jota. Or I think Jota might be injured actually, but Luis Diaz, more than likely, who'll be playing up against him. So he needs a big game against Matoma, who's arguably top 5 wingers in the league. So he's going to need to try and lock him off and build some confidence. Centre-backs, obviously, Saliba and Gabriel, goes without saying, are two best defenders, two of the best defenders in the league. So those two will be playing. And I imagine Zinchenko will be playing left-back. I can't see Kivior starting this game. It's going to be an important game for Zinchenko to get control in the game and get us dominating the ball, because Brighton are very good at getting control of the ball and being tidy with it. And they're not going to give it away cheaply. So we're going to need Zinchenko playing one of his better games. Holding midfield, I believe, will be Declan Rice. Going to be an important game for him, stopping their quick transitions and, you know, keeping us ticking over as it is every week for him. And in front, I believe it will be Odegaard and Havertz. I'd be very surprised if Havertz loses his place. He was our best player against Villa, and he's been really kicking into form in recent weeks. So hopefully it's something that he can build upon. And do you know what the thing is with Havertz as well, that I want to say is, at this moment he's playing really well, and people being, for the first time in his Arsenal career, complimentary about him, myself included. But I think what's really important is, if he doesn't play well this game, but not everyone jumps on his back, you know, the second he starts, you know, maybe has a bad game again. Because I think we can tell that, you know, as soon as he's got a little bit of confidence about him, since he scored the winner against Brentford, he has looked a much better and much different player. So long may it continue for him. But, you know, when it inevitably does have a poor game, let's you know, not jump on his back, because there's players who have bad games, you know, fairly often, 2 or 3 in a row, and we don't end up jumping on their back. So important that we keep the support up for Havertz, and you know, hopefully he doesn't have a bad game. But yeah, like I said, it will be Odegaard next to him. Big game needed from the skipper. It was not his fault why we lost to Villa, but he missed the biggest chances against Villa. So we really need him to step up this week, and if a chance comes, he needs to be banging it in. We're going to really need him. And then the front three will be Martinelli, Jesus and Saka, as long as there's no injuries, of course. A massive game for Saka and Martinelli. I don't think they played well against Aston Villa last week. I'm pretty sure both Brighton's fullbacks might be injured as well, so they might be up against people who are not naturally fullbacks. So they need to really try to take advantage of that and just dominate their fullback, beat them, you know, as often as possible, and hopefully they can, you know, contribute with some goals. And Jesus is going to be up against a couple of really good centre backs in Dunk, and I don't know who will partner in, maybe Van Heck or maybe their other centre back. I can't remember his name now. But it's going to be a big game for him, and he needs to start scoring goals in the league. He's only got 2 in the league so far. I know he's had a little bit of a stop and start season, but I need to see him start kicking on and start scoring some goals and causing havoc like he does in the Champions League. So big game for the whole team, massive game for Arsenal, and nothing less than 3 points will be acceptable, because we have to win. Very simply, we have to win. I'm going to go into my predicted score. It's a tough one, because I said Brighton are such a dodgy team, man, especially when they play against us. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. I know that seems to be the score I go for quite a lot, but you know, I'm just hoping it's going to be a controlled, clinical game for Arsenal. That's what I'd love to see. Just a game where we control it, limit them to little chances, dominate the ball, especially in front of our home crowd, and hopefully get a couple of goals. Because Brighton aren't just going to, I mean, I say they're not just going to give away goals easy, but they have shipped a fair few goals this season, so maybe. But I'd like to see a controlled, professional performance, and hopefully we can get it done. And hopefully United can do us a favour and get something from Liverpool, and you know, Manchester City have Palace, who, to be fair, Palace have gone to the Etihad the last couple of seasons and caused them problems. So, you know, maybe Palace can get something from City, but I doubt it very much. But yeah, big weekend of football, and let's hope Arsenal end up getting the 3 points. Let me know in the comments what you think the predicted 11 will be or should be, and what you think the score will be. If you think Arsenal have it in them to finally break the Brighton curse, which, you know, hopefully we do. And yeah, we'll be talking about the game and the Champions League draw on Monday. And, you know, hopefully we're talking about 3 points for Arsenal. But yeah, please do like, comment, subscribe and share the video. And talk to you guys on Monday. Take care. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.